This election is going to decide whether India will remain a democracy, whether in future India will remain a secular democratic republic. So there are high stakes in this election, and because of this, all the secular opposition parties in the country have come together in the India bloc to face this challenge and to ensure the defeat of the Bharatiya Janata Party and its allies. In the 17 parliament elections held before, we never witnessed such a situation as we have today. When we are going towards the Lok Sabha election, two elected chief ministers who belong to the India alliance, the Chief Minister of Delhi, Arjun Kejriwal, who heads the Aam Aadmi Party, and Hemant Soren, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand, who heads the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, who are all constituents of the India alliance. They have been arrested and put in jail. This is how the Modi government and the BJP want to win these elections, by suppressing the opposition, by putting chief ministers in jail, by targeting scores of opposition leaders, including ministers in various non-BJP state governments. So the aim is to suppress democracy and suppress the opposition, and then claim that we can get a sweeping victory in this election. So that is why we say that this election is also a fight to save democracy in our country, to defend the constitution, because the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, the RSS, which controls it, have made it clear that they will go towards establishing a Hindu Rashtra after these elections, if they win. A Hindu Rashtra means the end of the constitution which was framed by people like Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. This is the threat that we face today, and that is why I said there are very high stakes in this election, and it is the unity of all the secular and democratic forces in the country which will be able to successfully foil this attack on democracy and secularism. If there is no democracy and there is no constitution, then it means that the rights of citizens, the rights of all of you, belonging to all communities, creeds and castes, all of you will be deprived of your basic rights. Today, the Modi government wants to establish an authoritarian dictatorship. All over the country, there are hundreds of people who have been put in jail because they have raised their voice in support of the people, who have opposed the anti-people policies of the Modi government. And they have brought in draconian laws like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, various acts by which they can arrest anyone, and even the courts cannot give them bail. That is the law under which Arvind Kejriwal and Hemant Soren have been arrested, chief ministers of the two states. So, the question of defense of the constitution and democracy is a question of defending the rights of our people, the hard-won rights which we gained after the struggle for independence against the British rulers. The 10 years of the Modi government are ample evidence of how the BJP and the Modi government have served the interests of the big corporates, the big capitalists, and made policies in their favor. As a result of which we have seen how the ordinary people of our country, whether they are farmers, whether they are workers, whether they are youth, women, Dalits, Adivasis or minorities, have all suffered by the policies this government has adopted. One of the biggest failures of this government has been to create employment. Today, the rate of unemployment in the country is the highest in the last 45 years. And just last week, the International Labour Organization, which is a body of the United Nations, has published a report on employment in India and said that of the unemployed people in India, 83% are young people, youth. And out of the youth who are unemployed, 67% have completed their higher secondary or college education. So this is the record of the Modi government. If you look at the 10 years, you will find that 1% of the richest people of our population control now 40% of the country's wealth. And unemployment is a direct result of the policies of the Modi government. The maximum employment that can be generated in our country is in the MSMEM sector, the medium, small and micro enterprises. And it is this sector which is precisely being adversely affected by the Modi government's policies. If you go anywhere in the country, including here in Tirupur or Coimbatore, where there are so many small and medium enterprises and micro enterprises, you will find that they are hit badly by the policies of the central government. They have problems of getting raw material. The prices keep going up high. They do not get adequate credit and loans from the banks. And they are not able to, the GST scheme which is there, which is being implemented, works against their interests. And all this is in the hands of the central government, these policies, not with the state government. And unless the MSMEs are encouraged, supported, and they grow, you will not increase employment in this country. That is why the manifestos which have been released by the India parties, respectively, whether it is the DMK or the Congress or the CPIM or the CPI, all the parties which have released our election manifestos, we have paid priority to this, that the MSME sector must be further developed, they must be supported by the state, central government, institutions, and they must be expanded in a big way. But this is not being done. That is why we are finding this crisis of employment in our country. In this election campaign, Narendra Modi and the BJP are attacking the India bloc and the India alliance. Their one point attack is, this is an alliance of the corrupt. This is an alliance of the corrupt parties, and they have come together to protect their corruption. Modi is making such speeches every day, all over India. But the actual reality is what? How can Modi say such things with a straight face after what exposure has taken place in the electoral bond scheme? You may all know that this government had 6 years ago brought an election bond scheme to say that this will be the clean way of getting political funds for political parties, for elections. But the scheme was such that any corporate or company can give a donation without declaring it. And the party which receives the money can also take the money without declaring who has given them the bond. This is the electoral bond scheme. When this bond scheme was announced, our party said, we will not accept the scheme. This is legitimizing political corruption. We went to the Supreme Court challenging the scheme. The Supreme Court took 6 years to give a judgment. We are grateful that they finally gave a judgment. But in the 6 years, what has happened? Now the Supreme Court said, reveal all the details. The BJP has got 8,252 crores of rupees through the bonds. 50%, more than 50% of all the bonds issued, they have got all the money. And how they collected the money? Now that it's clear who's given the bond at what time. A company which wants some contract or license, they have given 50 crores through bonds. After that, next day they get the contract. Some companies did not give any money, so they were raided by the ED or the income tax. Within few days, they have given donation through bonds, and after that, no case against them. So this has been the biggest bribery and extortion racket which has been introduced as a legal scheme by the BJP. Have you heard of any such corruption scandal of this magnitude in independent India? But Modi has the cheek to now accuse the India parties of being a corrupt alliance. We have demanded, now that all the details have come out, the Supreme Court should monitor an investigation about how such bribery has taken place, how money laundering has taken place, how extortion has taken place, and those found guilty must be prosecuted. So, if the India bloc of parties come to power, we will ensure that this corruption which has existed in India for the last 6 years, instituted by the ruling party, all those responsible for this will be held accountable. It is not only democracy and secularism which is under attack. The federal structure of our country. That is also being undermined by the Modi government and the BJP. India is a union of states. We have states, 28 states. We have Tamil Nadu, we have Bengal, we have Punjab, we have Maharashtra. And all these states have their own languages, culture, way of life. And it is all these states which constitute the Indian Union. But the Modi government has, over the years, sought to completely deprive the states of their rights and powers. You in Tamil Nadu have a direct experience of that. They've tried to impose Hindi. They've tried to impose their own educational system and have entrance exams like NEET. And they've used the governor to interfere in matters of the state government, the elected state government. The same thing they have done in Kerala. The governor is used for acting against the LDF government there. So, in order to protect the rights of the states, so in the elections to be held here in Tamil Nadu on the 19th of this month, you have a golden opportunity to ensure that not a single BJP candidate wins in Tamil Nadu. Last time in Tamil Nadu they got 0 seats. This time also you have to repeat that and ensure that they get 0 seats. But that is not all that is enough. There are allies of the BJP. Some are declared allies, some are undeclared allies, like the AIDMK. We know that today they are fighting elections separately. But if you see the record of the AIDMK in the past 5 years in Parliament, every single policy, every single legislation of the Modi government has been supported by the AIDMK. And they will do so even after this election if they are elected. So it is necessary to defeat not only the BJP and its allies but also the AIDMK and its allies. And I am sure that the people of Tirupur will re-elect Comrade K. Subbarayan, the time-tested Member of Parliament, who has a stellar record, who represents all the working people of Tirupur. I am sure that you will make him victorious again with a bigger victory this time. And I appeal to you to vote for the sickle and the sheaf of corn, which is his symbol.